Already? Okay. Thank you, Carol's number, appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
I'll call her tonight.
Happy to help.
Hope she says yes, but
Yeah.
I think they're saying yes only
Yeah,
because
I want to shift my view.
That's
Like,
great. they're asking us or them.
She's texting Mandy to see if she'd heard from him. That'll work out again.
Good evening. I, Fred Hashimoto, would like to call this council meeting of the Village Corrales to order. It's April 28th, 2026. Please turn yourselves off or on silent and stand and repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God. Thank you. Roll call. Councilor Murray.
Here.
Councilor Burkett.
Here.
Councilor Knight.
Here.
Councilor Waldman.
Here.
Councilor Miera.
Here.
Councilor Alsobrook. Not here so far. May I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, nay. Motion carries. Reports. Administrators report. Melanie?
All right, I have a couple of updates. Hopefully this won't take too long. But first of all, about the assessors forum we were trying to put together that was brought up at the last meeting. I reached out to all three candidates. Unfortunately, I was not able to get hold of all of them. And the first one I talked to said they had sort of made an agreement that all three candidates work at the assessor's office, for those of you who don't know. And they had sort of made an agreement amongst themselves that they wouldn't do any of these unless everybody agreed. So two people said, yes, if you can get the third person on board. The third person never called me back. So what I'm going to try and do next is create a little questionnaire and see if I can get them to answer the questionnaire that we could then post the answers in possibly the mayor's message on our website so that voters do have some sort of information about these three candidates. So there's two Republican candidates and one Democratic candidate up for assessor.
I'm sorry, Melanie, I missed that. Did you say that all three currently work in the assessor's office?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
I bet lunch is fun there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your suggestion is brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll try and get that done. But yeah, we tried really hard to get something going. We were going to try and do it for May 7th. But
And you know what question we're gonna ask them, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
At
yeah.
least that
Yes.
question.
So yeah, if council has some questions they'd like me to float to the assessor candidates, please let me know. We also found out this afternoon that Easy Fiber will start work in the village on Monday, May 4th. The work will come down Meadowlark from Rio Rancho. And then the work will be on Meadowlark, the cul-de-sacs, or is it Coles-de-sac? I don't. I never took French. I took German. So all the little cahiers off of Meadowlark, and also Wind Song Lane. So that'll be that first week. Week 2 will start sometime around May 9th, and the work will move to Alamos, Western Mesa, and Reclining Acres. And then we'll give updates, and we'll update our website with where they'll be. So they're going to start at that part of the village, and it looks like they're going to work their way north from Loma Larga and then spread throughout the village. Yes, Counselor.
Does it affect the repaving and re-engineering of Reclining Acres?
No, they'll be working along the right of way on the roadside, so it won't affect anything on the road itself. Yeah, and the work goes very quickly. So yeah, they're in and out in a couple of days in each section. So but yeah, if you see the trucks, they should have phone numbers to call. We do have a phone number if you have any questions or any issues in your area. There is a local phone number that goes to their office in Albuquerque. If their person isn't there, it does go to their office in Texas. So you will get at least somebody from the US if you call the Easy Fiber number. But that is posted on our website. And I think we'll probably link to it in the mayor's message again this week, that page on the website. The primary election, we were just talking about the assessor's race, but the primary election is Tuesday, June 2nd. Voting for that primary election will take place in the village at the community center and the rec center. Early voting begins May 5th at the county clerk's office. So if you want to vote super early, you can go to the county clerk. If you want to wait for voting in the village to start, it will start May 16th at the community center. This is New Mexico's first open primary, which means if you're registered as a Republican or a Democrat, nothing changes. You still get your ballot per your party. But this allows people who are registered in one of the minor parties to be able to vote as well. So the way that's going to work is if you're Libertarian or Green Party, you can use same-day voter registration to affiliate with a major party to get that ballot to vote the day of that you go in to vote. And you can do that either in person, or you can, when you fill out your request for an absentee ballot, you can do that as well. You can also change your status to decline to state. And if you change it to that, or if you're already declined to state, the way that will work is when you go in to vote, you'll tell them which party you want a ballot for. So we'll see how this goes with New Mexico's first open primary. Yes.
So we were looking at that last night, and they did not have Libertarian or Independent on the voter registration.
Mhm.
So
They're considered one of the other minor parties. So
when they go in though, are they changing parties then?
no, it's just for the
Okay.
this. So it's to affiliate with the party just for the primary. So you're not changing your voter registration indefinitely. It's just for the primary. At least that's how I understand it to be working. Let's see what else. The fire line construction over at the rec center is now about 40 feet away from connecting to the pipe at the rec center. So if you've driven down Corrales Road today, you'll notice that the fencing has moved from right up near the road to up closer to the soccer field. And they're hoping to be completely done with that project by Friday, because I know we have some events over there for Viva Corrales this weekend. So once that connection is made, they've already connected underneath the road. And that's, I guess, the installation of that pipe went pretty perfectly. And then, so once they make that connection to the rec center, they'll move all of their equipment out of the growers market parking lot, and then they'll move to installation of a pipe down Priestley. And then the pipe will go east to Andrews Lane and connect with the fire line that has come down south along Andrews, and then it will continue down along Andrews towards the Bosque to eventually hopefully get where will the hydrant be down there, Chief? Yeah. So there'll be another hydrant down by the Bosque. So we already have one down by the Bosque at Dixon, and then we'll have another one further south. So we would like to eventually get hydrants all along the Bosque area. And kind of along that, today I had, as I was looking at our P&M franchise agreement that we're working on updating, I was going through some of their vegetation management stuff, and I saw something in their plan that said they've put cameras in high fire risk locations around the state. And these cameras they're infrared cameras that can detect heat and are sort of the first indication that there may be a fire in an area. And so I've reached out to a couple of companies to see if we can get some quotes on what it would cost to put similar cameras in our Bosque to help protect the village. So, when I did just a quick cursory search online, I found some as low cost as $500, some as much as $2,600. But there's companies that put together systems for you. They have ones that are wireless, that connect with a cell phone SIM card, so it can transmit the information back to a central location. They're solar powered, so we wouldn't have to run any power out to the area. So it's just something that we're looking at to sort of protect the village. So I'll keep you posted on what we find out there. Like I said, this is just an idea that came to me this afternoon, and I was like, hey, let's look into this. So Okay, continuing on. The farmland preservation. We have found an appraiser that can do an appraisal on the Tricello property. It will cost $1,800 plus, no, I'm sorry, $18,000 plus tax. And they can have the appraisal done by mid-May. So we're moving forward with that. And then Michael Cisco has reached out to the remaining 3 properties and he asked them some questions. And some things have come up where the village needs to make a decision about how to move forward with the agreements for these properties. I don't feel comfortable just making those decisions unilaterally. So we're going to try and bring all of this back to the council May 26th because we need some time to get some further information from the property owners. But you'll see an upcoming discussion about farmland properties, and we'll put that decision in your hands in terms of, there's one property that has they believe they have some of the property along their frontage road that's already commercial. I need to double check with planning and zoning because I don't think it actually is zoned commercial yet, but it would be eligible to be zoned commercial. But those are the kinds of things we need to write into these agreements of, would we allow the property owner to keep that half acre out of the farmland easement and leave that open for commercial development? Do we not want to do that? Those are the kinds of questions that we're looking at. And then one of the properties was a wildlife rescue. They have structures on their property. Does council want to move forward with a property like that? Another property has a shared well. Is that acceptable for the water rights? So there's some decisions that we need to look at, and Michael Cisco's compiling all that information, and that'll come before you at the end of May. All right, let's see. We have a meeting set with another contractor to do a walkthrough on animal services to get the second quote. We had a little trouble finding that second contractor because some of the bigger companies we reached out to said they wouldn't take a project this small, but we did finally find somebody. So I will have an update for you, Counselor. This one, they do have some type of, I don't know if it's CES or a state contract, but they are somebody that is similar. So yeah, we will have a full update for you on May 12th, Counselor. And then I also reached out to our attorney about your question on the funding the pet food bank. And he said we have 2 options there. One is, in order to make this follow our procurement policies, we could do a request for bids for we would say we want to provide free pet food to the village, and we would ask for companies to put in a bid, and then the Paws for Paws Pet Food Bank could apply for that. But other rescues could apply as well. And then we would have to go through a selection process. Or if the council, if this is something that council wants to do, it was recommended that Councilor Waldman recuse himself because of his affiliation with Karma and the Pet Food Bank. And then another councilor would have to make a motion to fund this, and the council would vote. So those are the options to be able to move that forward.
So, sorry, even though it's less than $60,000, these still have to go out to bid?
If there's certain things that just to make it fair, we can't just, pick a company and say, we're going with you, unless they have like a state contract or a CES contract. That's how we get around some of those procurement things.
Despite the fact that the county commission uses MOUs, that's not something we look at. So
Yeah.
the cleaner way is just to have the council vote on it as part of the budget process.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks very much for checking.
Yes, you're very welcome. And I think that was it, unless there's any questions.
So night.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. Something came up over the weekend about in my district about a poll, and Councilor Mieta and I, we talked to the right people, but the big thing that was identified was not all of the companies that have licenses with the village have a 24-hour go-to person. So are we working on that to make sure we can can we get, somebody when we need to talk to them?
Fire Chief Anthony Martinez actually saw a vendor from it used to be CenturyLink, now it's Lumen. He actually stopped them. I think he was on the side of the road, and Chief pulled over and said, "Hey, we need a contact at your company," and he gave us a contact. So yes, we are working on trying to get those contacts. We had also spoken to Comcast about a year ago to try and get a local contact, and our Comcast rep for the village couldn't help us because we're a commercial account, and the lines in the village are Xfinity residential. So we're still trying to work on that. So.
Okay, so, but no matter what company has the license, we need to make sure that we can get a hold of somebody if there's a problem.
Yeah, so that's been something that Chief Martinez has had his eye on for actually quite a while. So.
Okay, and one other thing I wanted to ask you, on page 4 of the packet, it says MOUs with Rio Rancho. Do we have any
Yes.
information about that?
Yeah, so there are 2 agreements that we've proposed to the city of Rio Rancho to get water for our fire lines. So the first one is to fill the tank at Angel Hill. So it's a 500,000 gallon water tank. And our options for filling that would have been to drill a well, which would have cost the village about $200,000. And then you need the water rights to be able to get water from that well. But again, Chief Martinez had the idea that, they're building a subdivision right up there on the other side of Angel Road. And so he kind of talked to some people over there, said, do you think this would fly? And they said, yeah, give us an MOU. So Ken actually wrote up an agreement for us, and we're working on establishing a connection to their water system. So their fire lines that supply water to their hydrants. So it would give a connection to our water tank that would be filled, and then we would pay them on a as needed basis. So it would only be used to fill the initial tank. And then if there's a fire and that water gets depleted, it would refill it. They're going to charge us the commercial rate for water, which I believe Chief looked up this afternoon, and it's about under $7 per 100,000, or I'm sorry, 1,000 gallons.
That's correct. Mayor, Administrator, Councilors. During our staff meeting today, the question came up, so I did a real quick search. We haven't heard the official from the city of Rio Rancho, but the commercial rate is, I believe, like $6.50 per 1,000 gallons, $6.50 per 1,000. But there may be some other costs, like they may charge us a meter fee because we're talking about not a standard residential meter. It's gonna be like a 4-inch meter, because we need the volume to, if we start depleting the capacity of that tank, to fill rapidly also. So.
Yeah. And these MOUs are still in negotiation, so they're still kind of going back and forth, but we did want to bring them to the council's attention. And then the other MOU is for a water line up near Don Julio. And there's currently a Rio Rancho City fire hydrant at the corner of Northern. And so we would do a short run of fire line that the village would pay for. And then from there, the developer that is doing a subdivision up there would take over, and they would put in the infrastructure for those new homes being built. So they would put in all of the fire lines and the hydrants for the homes being built.
A comment actually that 500,000 gallons sounds like a lot of gallonage, and it is, and particularly when we're concerned about water in this area. But it's just basically a fill. We're not going to be using the water. It's not going to be flowing. It's only going to be flowing if there's a fire. And if there's a fire, to use that water is probably a best use for that water. So it's not that this is going to be a continual drain and we're going to be using more and more water on this tank. It's not true. As Melanie said, we're going to fill it. And then if we need it, we need it. If we don't need it, it stays filled. Councilor Murray?
Yeah, so along those lines, my first thought was when you mentioned Don Julio, how about residents? Could they connect to the water line? Could the
It's non-potable water, so they couldn't connect to it for residential water use.
well, that solves that problem. Because first thing when I saw that going through there, I said, you know, I might jump on the line here and
Yeah.
get some water, you know, from the
Right.
rancho.
Yeah, no, it explicitly states in the MOU, this is non-potable water for fire suppression use only. And just real fast, Counselor Murray, I do have an update for you that you asked for on the drainage plans for Coronado. I totally forgot. So for Coronado, Public Works Director Steve Lescu and Village Engineer Steve Grolman recently met with the SCAFCA executive engineer at the site. SCAFCA's doing a couple of assessments to confirm the volume that the south section of asphalt can hold. And then we might need to make a slight modification to the existing pond dimensions. But if not, the water can just flow down to Loma Larga as it does now, and there shouldn't be any changes needed for that.
The MRGCD ditch, we got a problem.
Right, and that's what they're currently assessing. So that we're waiting for them to do all of their I don't know if you've ever been up to SCAFCA and seen all of they have all kinds of computer modeling things, and they can do they can run all kinds of scenarios. So they'll let us know if we need to adjust that.
Guaranteed that water coming down off Coronado will flow into the pond and not across the road.
Yeah, if that's how I understand this, that the dimensions of the pond, that's where the water will be directed to in the way that the road is designed. So it shouldn't run across the road. And then Reclining Acres, they are in the final design to reduce the center line slopes. And then they're looking at perhaps installing a drain inlet at the bottom of the road, which would be sort of like a little grate at the bottom of the road. And then that would direct the flow of the water to the bar ditch at Loma Larga.
Well, the bar ditch needs to be cleaned out because there's a lot of growth there. And again, you know, we gotta make sure that there's sufficient capacity to take care of the rain coming off of Reclining Acres.
Yes.
And then also coming off of everywhere else.
Yes, that's part of these designs that they're looking at now. Okay.
Other comments, Councilor Wolman?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Melanie, on your administrative report, point number 5, having to do with sign of village properties, you're asking for suggestions from councilors.
Yes.
Would you be able to provide Amy Bell's plans and the village architect's volunteer plans to the council?
Yes. Yeah,
That'd be
I can do that.
I'd like to make a comment on planning. Recently, I met with Mayor Torres and Bernalillo and Mayor Real in Los Ranchos and asked them how they do their planning, how things work. Actually, Mayor Real has a really fine setup. He has out of a staff of like 17, he's got 3 people who are certified planners. One is the director of planning, the other is the head of P&Z, and the third is associate head of P&Z. So he's got 3 certified planners. He's got 4 companies for engineering, 4 for architecture, and 4 for building. He uses those 4, 4, and 4 to do his projects, and that's been worked out in those ranchos and seems to suit them pretty well. We have, as we know, for the last year or so, $50,000 in the budget for planner/architect. I plan to use that, and particularly since what I've seen in other municipalities, I and Melanie should, and maybe even the council, shouldn't be making decisions when we don't have any real planning expertise. And so our first step is, since we already budget for it, you know, to hire this person. And I'm going to convene a meeting with some architects and people from Village Hall to help direct how to get this person, because there are a lot of variables involved: size of company, smaller company. You don't want a big company because they'll give you the bottom guy on their roster. You want maybe a smaller company, but you want them committed. You want them to be able to understand the village. We need procurement type of expertise. So there are a lot of issues. So whether this issue about 4 or 5 properties here or a master plan, I think that we're going to hire someone just to help. There's no urgency in this, but I mean, there's no urgency in bottom line plans, but I think there is sort of urgency in getting a person to help advise us in planning. And so that has relevance to what you just asked and has relevance to the ICIP list too, because, you know, a planner can help us prioritize perhaps, bring in factors that we haven't thought about. And so anyway, we're thinking about, you know, being actively looking for a planner to help us.
It's amazing, given Mayor Rael's background, that
Yeah.
you would have so many people to assist to do that,
No,
which is what he's
yeah.
done for 40 years or something.
He can pick and choose. I mean, he knows people
He knows people.
in engineering, architecture, you know, building, and he's.
Yeah.
Anyway. Any other questions or comments for our administrator, Councilor Burkett?
Yeah, thanks. Just another water related question with the MRGCD shutting off the pumps. Have we had conversations to see? I mean, my expectation is that the runoff that's going to happen has happened. So do they, other than some storms, expect to turn these back on at any point in time?
If they do, probably not till the fall.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, well, moving right along.
Mayor?
Yes, I'm sorry, Councilor.
Well, then it's forum.
Yeah.
The young lady I was gonna speak about just stood up. And I was just gonna make note that Representative Cates is joining us, but that's normal. And there's a little story I was gonna tell you. I had, when I was in her position, only in a different district, I went to a committee and went to also a hearing for the council, and they said, well, you didn't have to bring in the representative, you know, we could have worked this out. And I said, well, I'm not here for that. I come to every meeting. And I think that's the way she is. I mean, she doesn't come for one meeting. She comes for every meeting. So I just wanted to make note and say thank you and acknowledge her presence here.
Yeah, I'd like to underscore that too. Thank you very much, Case, for representing us so well and attending our meetings and really having a finger on what's happening here. Thank you.
And Representative, did you have an update that you wanted to give us real fast or?
I just asked to put it on for public comment with everyone else. I'll come up. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Administrator, and Councilors. I know that I've mentioned this over the years in the past, but given conversations and especially we every year we think this is the crisis and then we get in a bigger crisis. I want to bring to the attention to individuals who might be listening that the city of Rio Rancho since 2008 has a water hauling station on Northern Boulevard and 21st Street. It's potable water. It's $10 for every 1,000 gallons. You can ask, send me something if you don't want to haul it yourself and you want to hire a company. I'll send you some names of companies that do it for a little more expensive. But it's potable water. All you have to do is fill out an application. They don't make you prove that you live in Rio Rancho. People here in Corrales can use this, and not what we want to hear, but at least it's something I want to make sure that we bring it to our listeners' attention. Thank you.
Could you give us the location again? You said it was Northern and
It's Northern Boulevard and 21st Street. It's a hauling. You go online to the county of Sandoval, and we live in the county of Sandoval. You fill out the application, and then you just go with your plastic crates or whatever and fill out 1,000 gallons for $10, or you can hire a company, a water hauling company that can come and fill your, 2,500 gallon tank if you have one on your property. It's potable water. And if we have little to no choice, I want to make sure you know that it's there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Good information.
Yeah.
The next item is a Corraleños Forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion and debate to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that will not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Melanie? Maggie?
Bob Icorst.
Yep. Bob Icorst, live in Corrales. I want to report on an incident that happened the weekend before last. We had a gang take over the Sandia bar. They came with their colors. They brought a lot of people. They wouldn't let other outsiders into the area. And it was all with the permission of the Sandia bar. And it was the Corrales Tractor Club. They had their colors on. They raised a lot of money. And the next one that's coming in to raise money for themselves is the gardeners. All we hear about is how terrible some of these outfits are. No, they're trying to help. If you saw the crowd, it was in the parking lot last Thursday or Friday. The parking lot across over here is not big enough. The park was cram-packed full of people. The parking lot was overflowing. We had people all up and down the street, and it was for kids. We can't penalize these parents for bringing their kids to an outfit. So there's a few things, and I'll wait until we go over the proposal for the no parking later on. But the ICIP, there's two different things on the ICIP to put in electric charging stations. If you're going to do that, put in a charge account down here at the gas station so I can fill up my truck for free. Because you got $500,000 to put in electric charging stations. Get that off the ICIP. We don't need them because I'm not going to pay for them to fill it for free when you don't pay for me to fill it for free. So let's be fair about this. 4th of July is not that far away. I think the parking lot looks great. Like I say, it's level, it's cram-packed full the other day. But come 4th of July, we're going to have the same thing we've always had. And it's people up and down every street. And since I don't live here in the heart, I have to drive in here to the heart just in order to get soaked in the parade. But that's what the parade is for. It's for fun. We need to make sure that we're not harassing people. We're letting them park, letting them come in, enjoy the village. The number of people from out of town that come in just for that parade is incredible. If you talk to the crowd on the side of the road, they're not necessarily from Rio Rancho. They're from everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Next, Mandy.
Sabine Schurter.
Good evening, Mayor, Administrator, Councilors. My name is Sabine Schurter, 47 Rincon Road. First of all, I would like to thank P&Z Administrator Lori Stout for his suggestions regarding the no parking ordinance, which basically means to include residents in the process of determining whether no parking signs are needed or not. So thank you. Of course, this will be discussed in June. Another thing, it's just a short little suggestion. I was wondering whether you wouldn't mind considering putting the recordings of the P&Z meetings for good on the webpage. They stay there for a short time and then get erased, I believe, once the minutes have been produced and approved. But I think there can be important evidence and important knowledge, and it would be great if it was available to all residents. So that would also help to promote transparency, and maybe you get fewer IPRA requests. So maybe that would help too. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sabine. Next, Mandy.
Eddie Chavez.
My name is Eddie Chavez. I live on the north end of Corrales Road on Mountain View Lane. I live just north of the Harvey Jones Canal, and I live immediately south of the S-curves that are between the Harvey Jones Canal and the tree farm. Coming from the north or looking north from my driveway, this is a blind curve. The posted speed limit is 35 miles an hour with a recommended speed limit of 25 miles an hour. My driveway is approximately 130 feet to the point where I can see a vehicle come around the corner curve, or that they can see me. 4 families live on Mountain View Lane, and we must cross the Corrales Road to get to our mailboxes. You'll cross over and then back. At 35 miles an hour, it takes 2.53 seconds to cross that 130 feet. At 25 miles an hour, it takes 3.54 seconds. At 40 miles an hour, which is 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, takes 2.2 seconds. In the last 3 months, I have witnessed a really high number of semi-dump truck trailers hauling dirt in and out of Corrales. And I live on the north end where both Loma Largo and Corrales come together. So everything coming into Corrales or leaving at that end goes right in front of my home. So I estimate that there's 3 or 4 trucks making these round trip tickets per hour. And it's making for about 20 to 30 trips a day with these big vehicles. And we're talking these big old semis. Now, a friend of mine indicated to me that one of those trucks loaded with dirt weighs 80,000 pounds. I followed on 3 different occasions, including earlier today, one of these trucks, and they're taking these to construction sites, home construction sites. And obviously this is going to continue as more houses are being built in Corrales. And I just need to consider that the planning and zoning or the speed limit change that we're been working on at the lower end of Corrales needs to take these kind of things into account, and also take into account that they need to plan for the speed limit for the next 10 years instead of just like for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa Lopez.
Hi, Teresa Lopez, here in Corrales. I just want to say, first of all, thank you for taking the old mayor's picture down, but where's Fred's? Where's Mr. Hashimoto's picture? It's not up there yet.
It's probably
But you can smile just like that, but and go, please. And my other thing is, Sabine just said it, was about the P&Z. I think, and a few other people also that I've just been talking about, why can P&Z not be, it is on Zoom, I think, or zoomed in this place and put on YouTube, just like you're, just anyway, we'll talk later.
I will address that in my next administrator's report.
Okay, well then that was my thing. And then I have to agree with Eddie here. He lives on the north side where the trucks go past fast. And Bob and I live on the south side. So please take into consideration all of that and have the police chief maybe park there and stay there to watch these cars that go around those corners really fast.
Thank you, Teresa. Next, Mandy.
That's it. There's nobody else on the list. Okay. That's it.
Good.
What, yeah,
Okay.
for the Korea, for the forum.
Okay.
That's it, yeah.
Okay. The next agenda item is the counselor's forum. This section is for informational purposes only, not for discussion and debate to inform the governing body of an issue or concern that will not be addressed on the agenda during the business session. Counselor Knight.
Thank you. I was on a Zoom meeting with the rail runner, and they just got the money to buy the property that they've been leasing for years. And with this money, they'll be able to get an indoor workspace for their workers and to work on their trains and things. So it's a huge deal because these guys have been working on those trains, have been outside the whole time. So this is a wonderful thing for them and something really great for New Mexico, I think.
Where is it going to be?
In the same spot, it's like First and Gold.
Any other counselors? Counselor Mira.
Thank you. And that's what I wanted, that's the subject of my counselor's forum, is to say thank you. Every once in a while, we get a whole lot of work done, we get a lot of people asking good questions, but I think some thank yous are in order. We brought up before that S-curve attention is being brought to it, whether it's from the DOT or from the people themselves. I appreciate Eddie, I appreciate Teresa standing out there because we're going to be chopping those trees down. And I think the only thing that DOT asked was there's nobody going to be standing out there and getting in front of the trees when we start to cut them down because it's going to be very, very important. So I told it, it's not my problem, Eddie, it's your problem. And he said he's going to take care of that. And he has done. He's done a very good job. I want to say thank you, Teresa. Is that they have been talking as a community out there about the community problems. And so I don't think that anybody's going to stand in front of the cutters, but I do want to say thank you to that little group that's worked together continually on some of their problems, and they brought it to our attention, and now we're reversing, going to them. Doesn't work as fast, but it's happening. So dispensanos, we're gonna get it. Thank you.
Actually, we're trying to figure out whose right of way some of those trees are on, if it's the villages or the states, and that whoever owns that right of way would be responsible for removing the trees and the cost.
Yeah, and an arborist has already determined that they need to come down. They're infested with all sorts of insects, and the trees are basically dead inside, and so yeah, they need to come down.
And then he sent me 8 more pictures, so I mean, we'll get to those there. But thank you. I want to say everybody who's sitting here, thank you for your work.
And the speed study should start collecting data by the end of this month. So they're doing a speed study on the entire length of Corrales Road. So they'll take some of that into consideration to see if we can maybe fix some of those issues.
Other councilors would like to speak. Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Metropolitan Transportation Board did meet. We did approve the upcoming changes to the drawings. We also approved the TCC bylaws, and then, like I said last time, I mistakenly joined the CES evaluators, and I've been evaluating about. I've got 22 firms that I need to evaluate and finish up by Thursday. I'm about halfway done, so it's some work. Because trying to read this, there's a lot of geek speak that you have to get through. And anyway, it's all on IT and things like that. But anyway, we are proceeding. There are other people doing other evaluations as well, but we're supposed to finish up by Thursday. At least I don't know if I will or not. But, anyway, other than that, I'm also meeting with 2 of the trustees this tomorrow, Thursday. One is he's a member of the MTB, and then I'm making a new member for the Water Resource Board. The Water Resource Board is looking at changing the bylaws as well. We're trying to evaluate, see how much involvement that the Water Resource Board needs to be in, because the way our region is, Region 3 for the state, out of the Interstate Stream Commission, it extends from the far north all the way down to Elephant Butte, but yet our Water Resource Board is looking at the Albuquerque area. That's where our responsibility is. So the question is now, how much involvement do we want to get? And we'll see how that plays out. But I think May 5th is our next board meeting.
Thank you. Any other councilors like to speak? Okay, the next item is a consent agenda. May I have an approval for the consent agenda, please?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Counselor Nuri and then Counselor Waldman.
Okay, so this question is about the disbursement of the $863.76. It's a resubmission of a resolution. Was there a check that was cut back last year, or why was that money not sent out?
So we're still trying to evaluate why the check wasn't sent. We think it was because we had requested a W-9 from the Music and Corrales organization. We can't pay anybody without one of those, and it was never received. And so that's where we think it fell through the cracks. So the Lodgers Tax Board at their most recent meeting went through and kind of did sort of like a mini audit where they looked at everything that had been approved this fiscal year and last fiscal year. And they were like, hey, wait a minute. We authorized this, but it didn't get paid out. And so that's why you're being asked to reauthorize the money, because without that reauthorization, since it was authorized last fiscal year, if we pay it in this fiscal year, we could get some audit issues. So that's why we're asking you to reauthorize it.
Counselor
Thank you, Mayor.
Waldman.
This is not specific, but there are a number of events coming up, and there will be throughout the rest of the year. I've stressed this in the past years, when it comes to advertising for events. I would like to strongly suggest that any advertising money that's spent for village activities be either a Corrales company or at least New Mexico company. Last year we had a situation where thousands of dollars went to a California company for advertising. I think we have sufficient resources in New Mexico that we could do that. So I would just like to emphasize that. Thank you.
Who chooses the advertising company?
So I think what Councilor Waldman is referring to is requests have come through from the Lodgers Tax Board, and then the individual groups choose. But we have passed that information on to them that we would like to see them use local companies, and we've even passed that on to our boards and commissions as well, because sometimes they'll say, "Hey, we want to order these from Imprint for us," and it's like, well, but they're a national company, so let's see if we can find somebody local that can do the same thing for us. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Any other comments? Good. Next item is.
We need a vote. We need a vote. We have a couple of resolutions and yeah.
Okay, since this is a resolution, we'll have a roll call vote. Counselor Murray?
Yes.
Counselor Burkett?
Yes.
Counselor Knight?
Yes.
Counselor Waldman?
Yes.
Counselor Mira?
Yes, sir.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next is new business, number 1. Consideration action, approval of resolution 26/24, approving an overhead power line at 356 Camino Hermosa. Lori, do you want to start this off, or?
Thank you, counselors, mayor, administrator. Something generic, not to do just with this application, but for some odd reason, my office is being inundated with overhead requests. This is the first one that's made it to you. I don't know why. I think I could be wrong about this, but I feel like maybe P&M has changed their pricing. And also, just another aside, my husband and I own some property in the Pecos, and we have a pole on our property there, and we had to go underground. It wasn't outrageously expensive. From the pole on our property to our house, we went underground because they have that also, that same ordinance. And thirdly, before I talk about this one, I would ask you, council, to look at that ordinance that was written in 2017, because I have a hard time parsing when it's okay and when they should come before you. And if I have a doubt, I will send them before you. My understanding of it is if a neighborhood's completely overhead right now, then someone can get an overhead line into their house, even though that's, quote, new. Or let's say they have a pole that's damaged, that can be replaced. But what happens when you're bringing power in from perhaps another area? should it not go underground, that's a new service, or if it's a new house. So all that being said, the reason that you're seeing this one is my understanding is there is a pole in the neighbor's yard. There's some overhead power that goes to this man's house. And his electrical panel is just out of date. So it's being replaced, but it's being moved to a different location. And it's kind of unclear to me if there's going to be another new pole. I think there will be. I don't think that shows on the photo that you were given. So I'm a little unclear about what's going on here. It might be very easy to approve or it might not, but it's hard for me sometimes to look at our ordinance and make a clear determination whether it's something that should go before you or not. So that's it.
Instead of going over the house and over the trees, they want to detour it to go around the trees and in the back of this other piece of property.
That's what I thought, but the gentleman is here and it might be better if he explains. I thought there was going to be another new pole. So perhaps he could explain if you don't mind.
And if you could just give us your name and address for the record.
Yes, Matthew Butkus, 356 Camino Hermosa in Corrales. What Lori is correct. What we're doing is the existing service of the house. It was an old electrical box from when the house was built in the 50s. It doesn't have the capacity for new washers and dryers and everything. We're constantly tripping circuits. It extends about a third of the way over the existing house and kind of through a tree. When we're planning to upgrade it and move the location. So it's going from kind of centrally located to the house to the corner of the house on the back of the garage. So it will take the tree out of the equation and not have the line run over the house for safety measures, which when we spoke to P&M, they preferred that. That's basically what we're doing. There will be a vertical pole coming up to connect to the wire. The power pole, the wooden power pole, or the pole to the house?
I guess that's what Laura was asking too. It's going to be another pole, I guess wooden pole from the existing power line. What is there not?
There will not be just the weatherhead connected to the house. The smaller metal pole connected to the house. The main line running through the wooden large 30-foot pole will stay the same. I will say that pole was just replaced by P&M over the last 90 days. And they left the old pole next to it with other wires connecting, and they're dangling about 4.5 feet off the ground. I know that's a totally separate issue, but just wanted to bring that up. I'd reached out to P&M about it and they said it's not their problem. It's not their line. It's somebody else's line. So.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. Did you get an estimate of what it might cost to run this line underground?
I did not get it underground, no.
It seems like this is a much safer way to go with a new panel, a direct shot.
I'm told it's safer because it's not, the line's not over the house. It's obviously not in between the trees where it could, be obstructed and fall down. And it's a shorter overall distance.
Thank you.
Councilman Euro?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just looking at the photograph there, it's a shorter line. So somewhat it looks like it'll be safe when you're moving that box around the other side. I don't think you're needing permission from anyone to move a box. Any electrician can move a box from one side of the house to the other side, right?
Right. Our ordinance does say, and you received a copy of this in your packet on page 44 and 45. So section 4 of our ordinance says the governing body by resolution may permit the construction or installation of a new overhead communications or electrical distribution line. If the governing body finds no significant public purpose would be served by requiring the new construction to be placed underground. So because it's being moved, it does, as Lori kind of stated, it does state new construction. So because this is new, it does need the line itself needs approval. He's not asking for permission to move the box, but the line itself.
Mr. Mayor, I don't believe this is a distribution line. This is a service line. I don't think that this ordinance applies to this. I mean, the pole and the old location, the new location are all on this fellow's property, correct? So distribution line is just that. It distributes power to the service lines. But I don't think this is a distribution line, so I'm not sure that this ordinance would apply.
Councilor Murray?
Thank you, Mayor. So I tend to agree with Ken in that we have approved distribution lines going across roads in the past, but that is a distribution line to another pole, and then service would come out of that pole to the house. So I tend to agree with Ken that I don't think this applies to, through the applicant. This is a service line, it's existing, they're just moving it to a new location. My neighbor he upgraded his electrical service, even though he didn't move the line per se, but he did upgrade the electrical, and it was coming off the pole to the house. So I don't think this, I don't think this part of the ordinance applies.
Councilor Burkett?
Just, I guess then something for future thinking, do we have a different ordinance or resolution that does apply to that portion of the electrical system? Because if we're saying that what goes into the house is not a distribution line, and this is specific to distribution lines, do we even then have a policy that covers this scenario? And this isn't specific here.
Section 3 of this ordinance says, it does mention electrical service connections to an individual building may be located overhead if there are existing overhead communications or electrical distribution lines extending within the lot or to a boundary of the lot. So it does cover this. Yeah. Yeah. I do think maybe we could update the ordinance to say that, because since it does mention electrical service connections later on, that should probably be in the body of the ordinance as well, that it makes it clear we are talking about both, or clarify that. But it's my reading that this does need council approval, but not to disagree with the attorney who has all of the legal knowledge.
Second. Any more discussion? Is this a resolution?
It is.
Roll call vote, Councilor Mira.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Holman.
Aye.
Councilor Knight.
Yes.
Councilor Burkett.
Yes.
Councilor Murray.
Yes.
The motion is approved. Thank you. Thank you. And actually, one thing we heard today at the staff meeting is that underground lines are much preferable, because we're talking about contracts with P&M and vegetation management and lines going through trees, and that preferably if it's underground, they're not going to have to worry about that. And so that's why there's a preference for underground lines, but it doesn't apply here particularly, but certainly does apply to underground versus aerial lines. And we'll probably be hearing more of this, so we'll see. Anyway, thank you very much. Next item, ICIP discussion. You honest?
Sure. So the information provided in your packet is the list that as we had discussed, breaking out the ICIP into our list that we'll give to the state, and then a long-term list that will just be maintained in-house. And then each of these lists will be reviewed once a year at this time. So what we need council to do is take these lists, take them home, rank them for us. That's why Mandy gave you the nice big sheets so you can see them. So if you could just rank them on those sheets and then get them back to Mandy by May 20th with your rankings. Council had asked if we could get a ranking of the fire projects in order of preference by the fire department. So that's on page 47 of your packet. So you can take that into consideration when you rank yours. Yes, Councilor.
Just a quick question, Chief Martinez, as far as your ranking of fire projects, would you rather, so village-wide suppression is ranked number 1. Would you rather that be fully funded before we get to number 2, or some funding goes to number 1 before we go to number 2?
Mayor, counselors. That's a good question. Number one, it could take years to get funded. We have the village-wide project, we're just doing bits and pieces, thanks to representatives and senators. But I don't think we're going to be able to fulfill that need. That's why it's always a number one priority. So
So keep funneling money that
keep
direction.
funneling money
but
that
don't
direction,
ignore
but
number two.
as you know, all my grants and legislative funding, all my top priorities have been water. And, I'm starting to get aging equipment. I have old fire stations that need remodeling. I have training and, other things that I need to start requesting help with. My focus has been on water. It's two high priorities and we have to find a balance.
Quick
Yeah.
question on number three. What is remodel fire station number one? Because I look at $175,000 and that's like half of what our pet facility is. What do we need to do that we can do for that
We
level
just,
of
it's,
money?
it's a 1990, it was built in 1997. We built the kitchen addition, through legislative funding and the gym and the dorms. But the main part of the fire station, we need paint and flooring and just minor stuff, like, stucco. I've been getting quotes on stucco. It's like $40,000. I mean, so it's little things like that that we hope to be able to piece together.
Councilor Murray.
Yeah, I would suggest that we put that in the budget and just put $175,000 right towards it and take it right off the list and let's get it done. Because there's no sense waiting if it's going to impact our first responders. So if we've got the money available, let's do it.
Yeah, I have, the chief and I were talking a little bit this afternoon about the fire suppression system and all the networking that he's really masterminded and implemented, and it really increases the available gallons per unit time that we can get to any fire in the village. Just having lines coming in, collateral lines, pumps in different parts of that network, saves pumpers and tankers going back and forth to different wells, different tanks. And so the number of gallons per unit time is just increased incredibly. And it's just, I think, a wonderful system he's been working in. Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor.
To go with that, we've got the money in the LGIP. And 175,000 is not going to break the bank. Let's go ahead and fund this rather than wait for capital, for legislature. This is important. This is for our first responders. It's for their comfort. It's for their training, places for them to stay. Let's just do it.
Is that a motion?
Well, let's wait till budget.
Yeah.
The budget's coming up. I think.
So if we leave it zero, that we make a motion, we know we're going to get it.
Well, can we make a motion? Because this is just for discussion, I think.
I don't know that a motion is appropriate, but we can add that if all councils sort of in agreement and is just sort of a nodding of heads. We'll add it to the next budget presentation and you can officially vote on it when we bring the budget to you May 12th.
I think that'd be a good idea because let's not wait. Let's get this done. It's not that a great of amount of money, and I think we've got it. Let's just do it.
Yeah, I'd like to make another comment too for village priorities. I think one huge one has been left off the whiteboard, and that is purchase of pre-07 water rights.
I will add that in the morning.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we have a photo here, but I just think that's incredibly high priority just because we're in a deficit, we're borrowing money to pay for our water from Bernalillo. Our future is we need water. And so that could be added in the morning.
I will do that.
Okay.
And I saw somebody selling water rights in the Albuquerque Journal. Did
Yeah.
you see that one?
No, I missed that.
We're-
I'll go
we're
look.
looking-
Yeah.
We're actively looking at purchasing those rights and we've talked to several already and we're continuing.
Yeah.
It's important. Councilor Waldman?
Thank you, Mayor. I was trying to get you we've seen this on the list for the last couple of years, the fire training facility. Can you tell me where Rio Rancho, Bernalillo, Placitas gets their training now for their fire department?
Mayor, council, so surrounding fire departments, if they do in-house training, they usually have some sort of training ground, training props, training platforms, towers. Rio Rancho, they have a training at their main fire station off of Southern. And I don't know what it consists of, but they have different props and different things. Sandoval County has a fire training tower at their Chief Tibbetts Fire Station off of right there at Santa Ana. Town of Bernalillo, I think, utilizes that as well. We have access to that, like the training tower elevation. And we have Socorro, City of Albuquerque has a training facility. Bernalillo County just built a regional facility down in Broadway. I believe Albuquerque Fire Station 4 was funded by the state to build a technical rescue training facility. The problem is those are all outside of our village. And so when we've been successful in funding a small training, it's like a Connex, which will be delivered, has been ordered like in 3 weeks. And I already amended my site development plan for Fire Station 2 to include that. So we're really proud to get that first piece of the training equipment delivered in 3 weeks. It's not an elevated platform. We were very specific with the citizens. But we need those little things to reoccur, to do training within our district every week or whenever we want. And we can just go up there and we can cut and spray water and use fake, smoke to do searches. Those are things to keep our training skills, current. But still, when we go outside of the jurisdiction, we have to have backfill, cover, overtime. Those are still important. What I'm trying to build in our community is something that we can use every day if we want.
So it'd be like a mini training facility, not without towers, without things you can get elsewhere when you need them.
Correct. We have a really strict ordinance of nothing over 26 feet. We do have 2-story homes. I think our largest buildings in the village are the new gym, and the new school when they're complete as far as the rooftop, but it's still only gonna be 2-story. We're going to be building a trench rescue platform, which is something that no one else has that'll make us where other departments can come and use our training facility for something that they don't have. And then we can go and use their tower or whatever that we don't have. So
are you charged by other communities for using their tower, and would you charge for using their trench?
No. No, we don't charge. If there's any sort of fee, it may be to hire an instructor that's certified, that is like a safety officer, that he and she may have to be present because of the municipal insurance. But a lot of it has always been free. We help one another. That type of service in the fire service hasn't changed. We help each other. Yeah.
So is there a formal or informal MOU to allow for this? Or it's just an understanding?
It's just an understanding. We have MOUs that dictate fire response and the use of equipment and all that. And so it's just a matter of calling the training chief or training commander and say, can we utilize your facility? Yeah.
Good.
Councilor Miro?
Thank you. I think this one you want us to write.
Yes, and the other one. So there's two lists. So there's the one on the big sheet, and that's the one that will go to the state. And then the smaller sheet is the one that is our long-term. It's the one 2032 to 2042 ICIP. Yeah. So please rank both. We won't have this on the agenda for May 12th because we already have a lot that we need to discuss on May 12th, but you can bring it back and give it to Mandy at that meeting. And then one other thing, if I may, I would just like to address Mr. Eichhorst's concerns about the charging stations. The anti-donation clause won't allow us to have those be free charging stations. So all those charging stations would have credit card machines where they would pay for the charging that they do. So I understand what you're saying, but also it wouldn't be free, but I get your point. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Councilor Murray? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. So on this one here, on 444-077,
1, 2, 3, 4, do you want us to treat those like each individual?
Yes, yeah, the additional requests, yes, go ahead and treat them as each.
Be important.
Yes, yes. So they're individual things. So each item on a line is an individual project that needs a ranking number.
Thank you, that's all.
Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So refresh my memory why we have $6 million for a bioreactor.
So we have a $50,000 capital outlay grant to do a study on if that's feasible. It was something we had put on a couple of years ago to look at if we could. The idea was that we would take some of the effluent water from our step system, treat it through this MBR system, and then use that water for things like watering our roads, things like that. It would still, the water would be treated, so it would remove stuff, but it wouldn't necessarily be something you would want to drink. But we could use it for things like, when our public works department goes out and waters some of the dirt roads in the village, we would be using that water. So we would be recycling our water.
I was just curious about where did you think it was going to go, or where?
So the proposed location. So this was the idea of our previous public works director, Michael Chavez. He got the idea from the Paco Ridge subdivision up in Sandia Park. So they have a golf course up there. And they take all of the residents in Paco Ridge are on septic systems. And so they take all of the water generated by the residents, they treat it on site in an MBR, and that's what they use to water their golf course. So his thought was, we have a step system, we could recycle some of our water, we could have a smaller system, and his proposal was to put it on the Jones property. But again, we would need to do some sort of feasibility study to see if this is even feasible. But that's why we've left it on there for now, is if it does become something that's feasible and it is something that council wants to look at doing at some point, we could. But and I can't remember if I left it on the overall ICIP or if we're going to move it to the long term. But yeah, it would definitely be a long-term thing.
Just an FYI, so at the last Metropolitan Transportation Board, I brought up the question about on construction of highways and infrastructure, are we using potable water for that purpose, or should we be looking at other sources that are non-potable for construction, for concrete, for dust control and so forth? So now I understand where this is coming from, but I'm a little worried about where it's going to go or how big it would be.
Yeah, and that's what the so we did get some funding. I believe it was 2 years ago now through capital outlay to do some sort of feasibility study. So we're working on getting that done. So
would that tie into the chief's fire suppression?
I don't know. It's something we could maybe look at. We could maybe build a tank where some of that water could be stored. I don't know. That's definitely stuff that would all be looked at as part of this feasibility study.
Thank you, Mayor.
But if it's got a $6 million price tag, that's pretty high.
Especially when we just heard how much water is out at the end of Northern. We buy about 100 million gallons for that.
Right. Councilor Knight.
Mayor, I wanted to ask Chief Anthony about 40326 fire equipment. So part of this fire equipment is cardiac monitor defibrillations for all fire apparatus. How are we doing with our equipment and life-saving equipment for your vehicles?
Mayor, Council, as far as the cardiac monitors, we have a fairly new one that we purchased a couple of years ago. 12 lead, it's transmittable to the ERs. Tanya is always trying to stay on top of that, making sure we have the best equipment to respond to our citizens. And I don't remember what else is on the list on the.
It's firefighting equipment, including personal protective gear, SCBA radios, hoses, firefighting appliances, physical fitness items, pumps, portable generators,
Okay.
and cardiac monitor defibrillation.
Yeah, and so that's just a general list of everything that, either has an expiration of like firefighting gear we can't use past the 10-year mark, hard hats, helmets, things like that. They have an expiration, believe it or not. Gloves, boots, appliances, those are just loose equipment like nozzles that could get damaged in one fire or get lost, or, if we had a Bosky fire, sometimes the fire travels over the hose and burns everything. So hose and nozzles, and they're done. So we're constantly always trying to restock and have a supply. That's obviously a needed list. Like earlier, I stated that, my priority has been the village-wide water system, because we need water to put fires out, but we also need this equipment to get the water to put the fire out. And so it's really hard to explain my dilemma of my priority of the village, building our water system, which is important. But now it's also time to me to try to focus on refurbing our fire stations that we're in there every day, and then needed equipment, whether it's fire apparatus, brush trucks, tankers, and other loose equipment. So
Okay, so
it's all a priority. And, I had to go through and try to adjust the priority based on, okay, what are our needs? We're always constantly looking for grants to help us with some of that stuff. We are currently doing good. We are recruiting some new members. So we're in the process. We're going to have to buy, some turnout gear, uniforms, boots. So.
and that would come under that ID number.
Yeah, and I also have, as you know, my fire fund from the state, based on my fire stations, I can't use for employees, but I use to help buy that personal protective equipment and SCBAs. And we just replaced our SCBAs about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. So we have all updated air packs. So the lifespan of those is at least 15 years. So we're doing pretty good for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Counselor Walden?
Yes. Can I ask how recruiting is going? You were down 4 positions.
Yes. So, Mayor, councilors, we are in the process. We started on Monday doing some physical testing. So Thursday we have 4 that will be tested in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 1 on Saturday. These are individuals that some have training, some are not, they have no training, but they're willing. So we're going to go through the process. We're going to do the physical fitness training first, and then we'll go into the next phase of interview. And then we'll see what candidates get picked, and then we'll try to figure out how we're going to get them trained and to what levels. Yeah.
You want to tell Counselor Woolman what part of the physical fitness test is?
Oh yeah, so we do the PAC test, which is the same type of physical testing that the wildland firefighters do on a national level, and it's 45 pounds. You have in 3 mile, you can't run, you have to walk in 45 minutes and 45 seconds. So it's our elevation, you get like a 45-second variance, but it's 45 minutes, 45 seconds. 45 pounds, 3 miles. And I'll let you know how Counselor Burkett and I do, because we were just talking about this before the meeting, so it's on.
In front of my house. And sometimes my kids go out there and play like Chariots of Fire when they run across the finish line, and but I'm going to do it with them this year and see if I can do it.
But thank you for all the questions. I appreciate it.
Good luck
Yep,
with it.
thank you.
Yeah.
Can we Zoom that and maybe make that a fundraiser for,
They ask for planning and zoning. Instead, they get him and I walk in a circle in a backpack.
I think you should do like the fun run where the elementary school kids, and we can all sponsor you. See if you can make it.
Like that. That's right.
Just have those big heavy hoses, used garden hoses, what he gets, but that's not fair.
You don't make him climb the tower in downtown Albuquerque, with a backpack on?
I've never done it. I've seen him do it.
Been training for the marathon.
Right.
That's a 40-pound pellet bag suit.
Any other comments on this item?
Okay. Yeah. So don't forget, we'll put a little reminder in the next packet to please return your ranked lists, and then It'll come back for a final discussion May 26th and then a vote with a resolution adopting it June 9th.
Okay, future agenda items. Our next meeting on May 12th has at least 3 items. One is the approval of the bond sale ordinance. The second is the Anderson Lot discussion of possible conceptual design plan. And the third is a preliminary budget discussion. The next meeting after that, we have a liquor license hearing. In May, we have approval of Main Street agreements, local and state. Number 6 is draft no parking ordinance, which is scheduled for June 9th. Next is approval of resolutions for changes in PERA plans for police and fire employees. That's also on the 9th of June. The next is uniform traffic ordinance changes, first reading to be determined. And the last is draft noise ordinance discussion. Councilor Murray.
So for the TVDs, uniform traffic ordinances, we've been waiting a long time for that. That's been at least 6 months. We need some action. We need a little firmer date than just TBD because we're kicking this down the road. And the draft noise ordinance as well. I'd like to see some firm dates for that. So if we can come up with something next meeting, that would be great.
I reached out to the sound engineer today, and the last communication we had from him was about 3 weeks ago. He was finishing up his final report, and then he was going to send it to the acoustical engineer for their review. So I'm waiting to find out if it's actually at the acoustical engineer like they had promised.
But for Ken and Randy, uniform traffic code ordinance, that we need that. We need it now and not another 6 months. What are you pointing at, Ken? But anyway, that's my opinion. So I would like to see that a little bit, move a little faster.
Any other comments? Lucky none, we've gone through the business agenda, so this meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you very much.
Wow. 8 o'clock.